smooth transition into Ferrari, buckle up, because reality just threw a wrench in that fantasy. The 2025 Formula One season is already proving to be a roller coaster, and the first tests in Bahrain have dropped some bombshells that nobody saw coming. You'd think the big headline would be Hamilton's grand debut in Ferrari red, right? Nope. A Mercedes rookie just stole the show, and suddenly, everyone is questioning whether the seven-time champ might have bitten off more than he can chew. Picture this: Hamilton rolls out in the SF25, looking like a kid on Christmas morning. First official outing with Ferrari. The pressure through the roof. But hey, the guy's done this before. He knows how to handle new machinery. He puts in a decent time early on, enough to get people excited, until a certain Andrea Antonelli, an 18-year-old with barely any F1 experience, decides to casually drop a lap half a second faster. You could practically hear the Ferrari engineers collectively clenching from across the garage. Now, before we start jumping to conclusions, let's be fair, it's just testing. Teams run different fuel loads, different setups, and sometimes they just like messing with people's heads. But let's not ignore the giant, flashing, neon question mark over this whole situation. Has Mercedes actually built a beast of a car? Or was this just a case of a rookie going full YOLO mode on fresh tires? And, perhaps more importantly, did Ferrari screw something up again? Because, let's be real, if there's a way to overcomplicate things, Ferrari will find it. Now, speaking of complications, Ferrari made things even more mysterious by covering their garage with a screen, like they were hiding the Holy Grail back there. I mean, come on, what's the deal? Are they fine-tuning some groundbreaking tech? Or are they just desperately duct-taping the SF25 together and praying nobody notices? Either way, it sent the rumor mill into overdrive. Hamilton, meanwhile, was reportedly not thrilled with his early runs. Apparently, the SF25 isn't quite giving him the instant magic carpet ride he was hoping for. Braking stability, decent. Power delivery, nice and smooth. Rear grip, better than last year's disaster. But still, something isn't clicking. And if there's one thing we know about Hamilton, it's that he doesn't do just okay. He wants perfection, or at least a car that doesn't feel like it's actively trying to sabotage him. And then there's the silent but massive elephant in the Ferrari garage, Charles Leclerc. The Monegasque golden boy has been Ferrari's chosen one for years, and now he's got to share the spotlight with a seven-time champion. If Ferrari's car is genuinely competitive this year, expect the tension between these two to go from mild rivalry to full-blown Cold War real quick. No way is Leclerc just going to roll over and play second fiddle. If anything, he's out for blood. Over at Red Bull, things are equally weird. Verstappen came out with a suspiciously neutral take on the RB21, saying it's too early to tell how good the car really is. Excuse me, this is Red Bull we're talking about. The team that usually spends pre-season screaming about how dominant they're going to be. If Verstappen is suddenly playing it coy, either they're hiding something, or, dare I say it, they're not as confident as they usually are. Then we've got Liam Lawson, Red Bull's new full-time driver, who is now in the unenviable position of being Verstappen's teammate. The question is, will he be allowed to race Max, or will he be forced into best supporting actor mode like all of Verstappen's previous teammates? If history is anything to go by, Lawson will probably get about 3 races of freedom before the team orders start rolling in. And let's not forget McLaren, quietly lurking in the shadows, waiting to throw a wrench in everyone's plans. Norris and Piastri are looking quick, and while McLaren might not be the immediate favourites, they're 100% in the mix. Last season, they started slow but finished strong, so if they finally learned how to be fast right out of the gate, we could be looking at a 3-way title fight. Oh, and Mercedes? Yeah, let's circle back to that. Antonelli's pace wasn't just a fluke. There's a genuine chance that Mercedes has pulled a rabbit out of the hat. And that leads to an awkward question for Toto Wolff. If Antonelli is this fast, this soon, does that put George Russell's seat in jeopardy? Russell was supposed to be the heir to Hamilton's throne, but if a teenager shows up and immediately starts matching or beating him, things could get very uncomfortable over at Mercedes HQ. So where does all of this leave us? Hamilton might have a bigger fight on his hands than expected, not just against Red Bull, but within Ferrari itself. Mercedes might be back in the game sooner than we thought. McLaren is lurking, ready to steal wins whenever someone screws up. Red Bull is either playing mind games or genuinely a little nervous. Bottom line, we have no clear favorite for 2025. And that is fantastic news for anyone who was sick of predictable seasons. We're heading into a year where literally anything could happen. And if this absolute madness of a pre-season is anything to go by, we're in for one hell of a ride. And just when you thought this pre-season couldn't get any crazier, Ferrari has already started tweaking the SF25 after just one day of testing. Yep, one day. Not even a full Grand Prix distance completed, and they're already making emergency adjustments like a student realizing they studied the wrong chapter the night before an exam. But hold on, does this mean Ferrari has legitimate issues, or are they just fine-tuning a car that's already close to perfection? If it's the latter, then okay, no big deal. If it's the former, well, let's just say we've seen this movie before, and it usually ends with Italian engineers staring blankly at a broken-down Ferrari while Red Bull and Mercedes lap them. Now, let's talk about Hamilton. Day one of testing was rough, but we're not sounding the alarm just yet. He's still adjusting to the car, figuring out the Ferrari way of doing things, and, knowing Hamilton, probably already making a mental list of complaints to send to the engineers. The SF25 is completely different from the cars it's driven for over a decade. The braking is different, the way it puts power down is different, and the way the airflow works around the car is different. The man is basically learning a new language, except instead of Duolingo, he's using tire degradation and wind tunnel data. But here's the thing, Hamilton is not here to mess around. If Ferrari listens to him and actually implements his feedback, this could be the start of something great. If they don't, well, let's just say it wouldn't be the first time Ferrari ignored good advice and ended up regretting it. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc is in the best possible position. He's been with the team since 2019, he knows exactly how Ferrari operates, and if Hamilton takes too long to adapt, Leclerc will gladly take the team leader role and run with it. We all know he's fast over one lap, and if Ferrari's car is finally capable of maintaining pace over a race distance, then we could be looking at Leclerc's best ever chance at a title. But hold on, what about Red Bull? Max Verstappen has stayed suspiciously quiet about the RB21's performance. And when Verstappen goes quiet, it's usually because he's either about to destroy the entire field, or he's genuinely worried. There's no in-between. Red Bull has dominated F1 for years, but we might be looking at the first real crack in their armor. If Ferrari and Mercedes have finally caught up, then Red Bull is about to have its first real fight since 2021. Then there's Mercedes, which might be the real dark horse here. Antonelli's pace on day one wasn't a fluke, and now the rumors are flying. Could Mercedes actually have a car that can fight at the front? If so, we might be in for a three-way battle between Hamilton in Ferrari, Verstappen in Red Bull, and Mercedes with their new young prodigy. And let's not forget McLaren. They ended 2024 on a high, and if they've carried that momentum into 2025, they could be the silent assassins of the season. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have already proven they're more than capable of taking the fight to the big teams. And if McLaren is smart with their updates, they could be the ones stealing wins while Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull duke it out. So, what does all this mean? Ferrari is fast, but might also be fragile. Hamilton needs time, but might not get it. Leclerc is ready, but will Ferrari back him or Hamilton? Red Bull is quiet, but we don't know if that's good or bad. Mercedes might be back, but we need more data. McLaren is lurking, but are they truly ready to fight for a title? One thing's for sure, this is not another boring, predictable season. If the first test is anything to go by, we're about to witness one of the most chaotic title fights in modern F1 history. And now, the million-dollar question, who's actually winning this damn championship? Is it Hamilton, riding into Ferrari like a knight in shining armor, proving that he can conquer another team and break Schumacher's record? Is it Leclerc, finally getting his redemption arc and showing Ferrari that they don't need an outsider to win? Is it Verstappen, who doesn't care about narratives, history, or fairy tales? He just wants to crush everyone and walk away with another trophy. Is it Antonelli, the 18-year-old rookie who might just be about to throw a massive wrench into the whole championship picture? Or is it someone completely unexpected? Could this finally be the year McLaren pulls off a miracle? What we've just witnessed in the opening stages of the 2025 Formula One season is not just a shake-up. It's a complete restructuring of the hierarchy that has ruled the sport for years. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, we're looking at a season where no single team has a guaranteed stranglehold on the championship. Red Bull might still be the fastest, but they're not running away with it. Ferrari looks lethal but still has kinks to iron out. Mercedes has suddenly thrown their hat back in the ring, and McLaren is lurking like a silent assassin, ready to pick up the pieces if the top teams start imploding. And then there's Hamilton. When he announced his move to Ferrari, the world went insane. Was this the move of a master strategist, a calculated final shot at F1 immortality, or was it a desperate gamble, a last-ditch attempt to chase glory before the sun sets on his legendary career? Right now, the answer is somewhere in between. Ferrari's F25 is fast. That much is clear. But is it fast enough? That's still a mystery. We know Hamilton is adjusting, demanding changes, shaping the team around his vision. But does he have enough time to mold Ferrari into the title-winning machine he needs? The answer to that question might determine everything. Because let's face it, if Ferrari doesn't deliver Hamilton a car that can fight right from the start, he's in trouble. The internal power struggle between Leclerc and Hamilton will only get nastier. Red Bull will pull ahead before Ferrari even finds its rhythm. Mercedes and McLaren will be waiting to capitalize on any mistakes. And we all know Ferrari's history with mid-season collapses. And what about Leclerc? He's not just going to roll over and let Hamilton take the lead. He's been at Ferrari since 2019. He's suffered through the disasters, the heartbreaks, the ridiculous strategy calls. He's done his time. And now that Ferrari finally looks like it might be competitive, why the hell would he step aside? And let's not forget that Max Verstappen is still out there. He's not going to sit back and watch Ferrari, Mercedes, or anyone else take his throne. If Red Bull is still ahead, he will crush every single challenger without mercy. Which means Hamilton has to become an absolute monster. If he wants this title, he needs to adapt to Ferrari faster than ever before. No excuses. No time to settle in. He needs to win races, not just podiums. He needs to beat Leclerc in qualifying. He needs to push Ferrari to the absolute limit, making sure that every tiny weakness is eradicated before Red Bull runs away with it. Because if Hamilton doesn't dominate early, Ferrari will do what Ferrari always does, pick a side. And if Leclerc starts outperforming him, then suddenly, Hamilton's not the team's priority anymore. And then what? Another year wasted? Another so close, yet so far Ferrari season? Another excuse for Verstappen to laugh his way to another championship? No, that cannot happen. If Ferrari wants this title, if Hamilton wants this title, then they need to get everything right. No strategy blunders. No reliability disasters. No mid-season slumps. Nothing less than perfection will be enough. So here's the final question. Is Ferrari actually ready for this? Because right now, everything hangs in the balance. Ferrari has built a car that could be capable of taking down Red Bull. But Ferrari also has a long history of messing things up just when it matters most. Hamilton has joined a team full of passion, history, and expectations. But Ferrari is also a team with political chaos, infighting, and legendary pressure. Red Bull has had the easiest run in F1 history over the last few years. But 2025 might be the first time they actually feel threatened. And let's not forget the wild cards. Mercedes, with their mysterious Antonelli project, could shock the world. McLaren might finally be ready to challenge for a title again. Lawson at Red Bull? Could he be the biggest surprise of the season? This season is setting up to be the most unpredictable we've seen in years. And one way or another, history will be made. Hamilton either cements himself as the greatest driver in F1 history by winning with Ferrari, or he ends up fighting for scraps, wondering if he made the wrong move. Leclerc finally gets his redemption arc, or he gets beaten in his own team and forced into a number 2 role. Verstappen proves once again that Red Bull is untouchable, or he faces the first real challenge to his throne since 2021. Mercedes shocks everyone and proves they're back, or they sink further into the midfield. McLaren steps up as the ultimate underdog, or they miss their best shot at a championship in years. No matter what happens, this season will be unforgettable. So buckle up, because this is only the beginning. And now, over to you. Who's actually winning this championship? Is Hamilton about to pull off the greatest comeback in F1 history? Is Leclerc about to prove why Ferrari should have always backed him? Is Verstappen going to make this entire debate irrelevant by absolutely dominating again?